This episode is brought to you by Oddmo's Pizza in Canby. Handmade awesome pizza plus craft beer, wine, and cider. Delivered. Call them today at 503-263-8444.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports.
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, if they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
The Canby Beer Library, the city's first brew pub, taking shape in the former library building on North Holly Street, will feature another exciting first. The first rooftop bar in Clackamas County. Talk about raising the bar. I'm sorry, Frankie makes me say those things. Bryce Morrow, owner of Oregon City Brewing Company and head visionary of the Beer Library Project, told city councilors Wednesday that the inspiration for the rooftop space actually emerged from one of the property's downsides, a lack of outdoor seating. If there's anything I've learned over the past year as a brewery owner during the pandemic, it's that outdoor seating is just critical for food and beverage, Morrow explained. Mike Zagava, former Canby Middle School teacher, principal, 3-term school board member, Vietnam War Marine veteran, 30-year member of the Oregon National Guard, and longtime community leader, can add a new title to the list. He was named Canby's latest hometown hero Wednesday night. The award is handed down by the mayor and city council, recognizing rare individuals for outstanding leadership, achievements, vision, and contributions to the Canby community. Zagava is the 15th name to be added to the Hometown Heroes plaque at City Hall, and only the 4th since 2008. Joining the likes of Bob Trapp, Carol Mewson, Doc Harms, Deborah Summer, Greg Perez, Judith Patterson, and Walt Daniels, the longest-serving council member in Canby's history. Mayor Brian Hodson announced the award before a standing-room-only crowd of Zagava's family, friends, and supporters, calling it recognition that is long overdue. Mike, I appreciate you, your wisdom and your leadership in our community, and just you, yourself as a person, Hodson said. It has been an honor to get to know you. Thank you for all that you have done for our community, and I know will continue to do. Many of those who spoke Wednesday night were Zagava's former colleagues and students at the Canby School District, where he spent more than 3 decades as a history and social studies teacher, athletic director, football and baseball coach, vice principal, and principal, most memorably for 12 years at Ackerman, when it was the state's 3rd largest middle school. They recounted humorous anecdotes, meaningful moments from Zagava's legendary career, and the impact he made on generations of Canby students. He could have been heavy-handed, but I think we all know the integrity he has, and that helped me grow into the person I am, said former student and current Clackamas County Sheriff's Office Deputy Scott McBride, recounting a few times he had run afoul of school rules. I didn't have a dad around, and he showed me what it was like to have a strong man in my life. I envy you, he concluded, pointing at Mike's son, fellow deputy John Zagava. He always had my back, said longtime colleague Ron Boost. The integrity with which he conducted himself and the support and love was there also, and that's a hard mix to find, and the humor. Boost's testimony was notable for another reason, as maybe the first and only time the word orgasm was said on record at a city council meeting. as he recounted a time Zagava filled in for an absent science teacher during a parent-teacher conference.
And Mike, I'll cover for her. And he, met with the parents. We had them rotate in every period. And, one time he told them that in science they were going to be, he meant to say the students would be drawing their organisms. But, a few letters didn't make it in there. So somehow, and I don't know how he envisioned them drawing orgasms, but he proudly announced that one. And anyway, that's one of those stories that, I don't know if that's well known, but happy to have it be that way now. And just on a serious note, best principal I ever could have imagined.
Also shared Wednesday night, perhaps the greatest teachable moment in the history of the Canby School District, delivered by fellow longtime educator Tony Crawford.
What happened was that we had this period of time at Ackerman when it was popular for girls with this bright red lipstick to be kissing the mirrors and the windows of our school, leaving lip prints, on the mirrors. So Mike comes up with a solution. We round up all the usual suspects, bring these girls to the office, and he says, I'd like you girls to come notice what happens when you leave these lip prints all over the glass at our school. So he takes them to the girls' restroom. And on cue, he says, I want you to notice that Mr. Vile, our head custodian, how hard he has to work to clean up all of this lipstick off the glass. So here's the lip print on the mirror in the girls' restroom. Joe Vile walks in, doesn't say a word, has his bucket with a scrub brush, takes the scrub brush, walks over to the toilet, swishes it around in the toilet, scrubs the mirror. There was not a single lip print to be found afterwards. Well done.
Zagava himself eventually managed to take the podium. There are not a lot of times in my life that I have been speechless, he said. This is one of them. I want to thank all of you for being here. I don't have the words to say. I want to thank my family, my kids, my lovely wife. There's no way that I could have done it without you. The air is electric as sellout crowds surge towards the elevated stage, crisscrossed with thick cables powering amps, microphones, lights, smoke machines, soundboards, and the veritable arsenal of electric guitars, keyboards, and other instruments. The beer and seltzer are overflowing. The band is rocking out. Hundreds are hanging with their friends, family, and neighbors, having a grand old time. It's a scene that would have been practically unthinkable just 12 months ago, but on Saturday night at the Wild Hare in Canby, it feels almost normal. It's freaking amazing, said Canby resident Mike Coffin, who had secured a spot near the stage with his wife, Nicole, and other friends. It feels so good to get out, feel normal. We're outside, no masks, everybody's having a good time. That's what it's all about. Coffin was far from the only one in the estimated crowd of 650 enjoying the return to some semblance of normalcy after nearly a year and a half of statewide restrictions on large gatherings due to the pandemic. It feels fantastic, said Natalie Les-Parents, who made the drive from Milwaukee with her friend Tiffany Myers and their husbands. We're having such a great time. This is actually our first outing since everything shut down. We actually feel normal again. As desperate as folks have been for live entertainment, they likely would have forgiven the night's headliner, Tom Petty tribute band Petty Fever, for showing a bit of rust after more than a year out of commission. But they, too, didn't seem to miss a beat, drawing rave reviews from the local crowd. I'm a massive Tom Petty fan, Natalie admitted. I saw Tom over 10 times in concert. This guy's pretty good. Bob Farster and his companion Jen made the 3-hour drive from Belfair, Washington, north of Olympia. They're huge fans of not only the late great Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but even more specifically, Petty Fever, and its dynamic frontman, Frank Murray. "We came all the way to watch Frank do his thing," said Farster, who was one of a number of fans sporting a Petty Fever t-shirt. "I've seen him over 50 times. I've seen probably 30 different Tom Petty tribute bands, and these guys are the most authentic I've ever seen. They're the best this side of Mississippi, absolutely." While many fans said Saturday night was their first big outing since statewide restrictions were lifted late about 1 month ago, perhaps none had a more relevant bookend than Farster. His last live concert before the pandemic was also a show by Petty Fever at the Point Resort and Casino in Kingston last March. "I bought the t-shirt for their spring break concert series," he said with a laugh. "I think I might have the only one." Saturday night's sold-out show is part of a new run of concerts throughout the summer, showcasing many of the acts that headline Hairfest each year. The brainchild of Hairfest founders and organizers Jason Fellman of J Fell Presents and Joan Monin of the Wild Hair Saloon in Canby and Oregon City said the series has been a hit so far, being well received both by the Hairfest faithful as well as many first-timers. "As an event producer, it just feels good to be able to bring people live music again," he said. "To see people out here smiling and having a good time, the vibe has been amazing. Everyone has been getting along and being super positive." Following the grimness of the pandemic and the months of strict restrictions, some people may have wondered how quickly the live music scene would pick up again and whether folks would be eager to return to the large gatherings of strangers. But Fellman was not one of those people. "I was never afraid of that, to be honest," he said with a chuckle. "We always knew people were going to want to come together again. It was just a matter of when we could do it safely and responsibly." For photos and video, find this story on our website, canbyfirst.com, and follow Canby Current on Facebook and Instagram. Canby's Big Night Out is back. The annual street dance on North Grant and 2nd Avenue, organized by the City of Canby and Backstop Bar and Grill, will return Friday, August 27th after 1-year hiatus due to COVID-19. The dance traditionally kicks off Canby's big weekend, coinciding with the Clackamas County Fair, Swan Island Dahlia Festival, and other large local events, and bookends the summer events calendar. The event typically includes live music and dancing, obviously, food and drinks, activities for kids and teens, and other fun. Officials say this year's Big Night Out street dance will feature venues from local restaurants, including the Backstop, Ebner's Custom Meats, FOB Tap Room, and Wayward Sandwiches. Community organizations including the St. Patrick's Knights of Columbus, La Luz del Mundo, and Canby High School Music Boosters are also supporting the event. The Friends of the Canby Public Library concert series is also coming back this year, along with the return of the city's first Thursday program, a monthly campaign highlighting downtown Canby and other local businesses. The series returns at 6 p.m. August 5th, will continue on August 19th and September 2nd. All performances will take place at Waite Park. Live music performances in Waite Park this year are supported in part by a grant from the Clackamas County Cultural Program, managed by the Clackamas County Arts Alliance, and made possible by funding from the Oregon Cultural Trust. There is a lot of excitement in downtown Canby, with several new businesses recently opened or opening soon, said Canby Economic Development Tourism Coordinator Calvin Lesueur. We hope that these events bring the community together to enjoy some live music and support the shops and restaurants that make Canby unique. In the past 18 months, Clackamas County has weathered 3 federally declared disasters, including destructive wildfires that raged last September, an ice storm that left thousands of rural residents without power for weeks in February, and a historic heat wave that killed a dozen county residents. Evidently, county leaders have gotten the hint, voting on Thursday to form a new emergency preparedness council to strengthen community engagement around emergency preparedness and provide community input around specific aspects of planning for and response to all types of hazards. Responding to emergencies takes a community effort, Clackamas County Board Chair Tootie Smith said. We are grateful to our residents who will work alongside us to prepare in advance of and respond to disasters in Clackamas County. Council members will also review after-action reports following disasters and address any identified gaps or areas of improvement that would benefit from additional community involvement. The county says council members will be drawn from a variety of key partners, including community planning organizations, utility partners such as Portland General Electric, local business owners, tourism industry representatives, nonprofit leaders, local city officials, and county commissioners. This council will meet quarterly, and the community members will be appointed following a county-wide application process announced at a later date. The county also announced Tuesday that officials continue to collaborate with PGE in a disaster planning, include strategic power shutoffs. The historic nature and impact of weather events this year have made clear the need for strong partnerships to ensure preparedness and resiliency planning, said Maria Pope, PGE President and CEO. PGE commends Chair Smith for her leadership and looks forward to engaging with leaders on this council for the benefit of the people of Clackamas County. PGE and Bonneville Power Administration assisted local fire agencies in briefly shutting down transmission lines last week after a brush fire broke out along Highway 99E between Canby and Oregon City.
Hey James, what's going on with the internet? The Wi-Fi is all spotty.
Well, is it your internet or the Wi-Fi?
What are you talking about? Aren't they the same thing?
Well, kind of, but no. You see, your home or office accesses the internet through underground fiber cables from DirectLink. It's actually your Wi-Fi router that converts that internet connection into an over-the-air signal for all your wireless devices.
Okay, you lost me at kind of?
Why do I even try? Look, you have seen like a box-looking device around the studio here. It's probably hidden under a thick layer of dust.
No, I don't. Oh wait, is it that blinky, flashy thing behind the stack of old pizza boxes?
Yeah, yes, it's the blinky, flashy thing. That's the Wi-Fi equipment that connects your iPad, your PlayStation, and the laptop to the internet.
I bought that off Craigslist like 8 years ago.
Frankie, I think we just found your problem. Your Wi-Fi equipment is ancient. Electronics, they get old fast, and even when new software updates or faster broadband comes out, your old router just can't keep up. It's like expecting a Model T to outpace those new F-150 Lightnings.
Great, so now I have to make Tyler go buy, I have to go buy a whole new Wi-Fi setup? How does I even know what to get?
Look, I'm gonna make it simple. Just call DirectLink, man. Their professional-grade Wi-Fi equipment is super affordable, and they'll manage the updates and the network security for you. They'll even help you install your new router in the perfect spot to get the strongest possible signal. You can visit directlink.coop/Wi-Fi to get started.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to make Tyler call DirectLink today. Joining us on the Canby Conversation today is Bill King of King's Farm to Table. Hi, Bill.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Unfortunately, we're not joining you from King's Farm to Table today, because then I might be able to taste delicious stuff. But we are at Gwen's Coffee House. I was telling Bill before we started recording that it's, I think, been my first interview at Gwen's since the pandemic. It's been almost 2 years. So.
Thank you.
King's Farm to Table is an existing business in Wilsonville, but is relocating to Canby.
That's correct. We've had a farm stand, kind of good old-fashioned farm stand on Stafford Road for 3 years.
Okay.
So we were just north of Wilsonville, between Wilsonville and Lake Oswego. And we had what I called a micro farm. It was about a 7,000 square foot garden. So we did a lot of our own heirloom tomatoes primarily, but we did some other things. But we tried to grow things that you couldn't get anywhere else, that you certainly weren't going to be able to get in a grocery store. So we did that, and then we bought from local farmers, most of whom actually were here from here in Canby, although we did have quite a bit of tree fruit and melons, etc., from Hood River out to Hermiston, but everything was local.
Yeah.
And then, we had some dry goods and we had some gifts and so on. And then on the weekends, I did American Regional Barbecue out on the patio. So that was a big hit and something that we're going to continue here at the Canby market. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this evolution of my career is about 4 years old.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're a chef.
I am a chef. I've been in the business for over 50 years, which dates me, but that's cool. I started on the East Coast.
Good experience.
I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, just south of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And after high school, I went to Cornell University, which is a school of hotel and restaurant administration, and started working in kitchens straight out of high school, and decided after college that I wanted to move west. So my best friend and I moved out here. We settled in Eugene, and then I've been working my way up the valley ever since. In the 80s, I was the executive chef at the old Aurora Colony Inn, back when Aurora was a real happening antiquing area, and Aurora Colony Inn was kind of the spot there. So I was there for 3 years, and then an opportunity to open a little bistro and charcuterie in a new marketplace in Portland called the Yamhill Marketplace. And so we did that for 3 years until light rail construction started and passed directly on the opposite sides of the market building, which was a full city block, and turned the place into a war zone.
Yes.
Put us all out of business. There were probably 100, maybe 70, 80, 100 merchants there.
Yeah.
But I had a little French cafe and charcuterie there for 3 years, which I loved very much, and was something that I had wanted to continue to do over time. But when that closed, I picked up an opportunity to go to work for the McCormick and Schmick's restaurant group back when we had 6 restaurants, and I was a chef with them, and ultimately a regional chef and a corporate chef and vice president of culinary development. Anyway, when I started, we had 6 restaurants. When we left, we had 96.
Wow!
So that was a big deal. That was 25 years of my professional life, some of the absolute best years of my life, back when McCormick and Schmick's was still run by us from the very earliest stages.
Yeah.
And before it was taken over by a corporate guy from Houston.
Yeah.
At which time I got out of there as quick as I could. Had my own restaurant in Portland for just a little while, and then I moved to Minneapolis for 3 years and helped a restaurant grow some restaurants, and got tired of being away from our kids and our grandkids. And my wife wanted to get back to a real estate business, and so we moved back here. And so we've been back now 7 years, almost 7 years, and then we had the opportunity to open the farm stand in Wilsonville, which was just about as much fun as we could possibly have. We just loved it so much.
Yeah, get your hands dirty.
Yeah, we really did, literally in both ways. First of all, I hadn't been a cooking chef for quite a while. But then I went...
It's kind of like riding a bike, was it?
It was. We got back in. I started doing a lot of take-home prepared foods.
Yeah.
And then the barbecue. I did American Regional Barbecue there,
Yeah.
which was just really rewarding how well we connected with the community and how much we just had so much fun there and just made so many new friends. It was a very, very nice experience.
Nice.
Unfortunately, after 3 years, the owners of the property wanted to, they didn't want to lease it anymore. They're
Yeah.
building a house on the back portion of it, and our business was, I guess, intrusive to them to a degree. Anyway, lease was up, so we started looking. And, our first thoughts were to replicate the farm stand concept, but that kind of real estate was very difficult to find.
Yeah.
And what I really had wanted to do all the way back to my bistro charcuterie days, before McCormick and Schmick's, was that I wanted to own a market.
Yeah.
And I always imagined, I guess a lot of people are familiar with the Elephant's Delicatessen in Portland.
Yeah.
Very, very successful
Yeah.
and very, very ambitious.
Yeah.
Not what, so I'm looking to do kind of a little
elephant.
miniature version of that. In a nice, quiet,
Yeah.
lovely town. We're just very excited about Canby. We just honestly can't believe how quickly people are embracing us. We go into shops, we introduce ourselves. Everybody just talks about what a great town it is and how community-centric it is.
Yeah.
And that just speaks to who we are and who we want to be. And then they tell us that they feel like what we're going to do here is, going to really fill a void.
Yes.
Maybe bring some food that might not be around right now.
It's this bizarre thing in Canby. We had a downtown. I mean, we had a number of downtown consultants over the years, but a couple years ago, before the pandemic, who, among the different, kind of suggestions and things as an outside person coming in and sort of things that stood out to her, was this bizarre disconnect between all of these farms completely surrounding Canby, producing all kinds of amazing produce and meat and dairy products, some of them known nationally, like TMK Creamery, award-winning.
Yeah.
And then you come to the town and all the food comes from elsewhere.
I know.
And some of that's starting to change. Obviously, we do have some locally owned restaurants that even at that time were and are continuing to use, some local products, kind of incorporate that into their recipes. Wayward Sandwiches across the street here from Gwen's.
Sure.
Came online after this consultant and does a lot of that as well. But even still, it is sort of this, Thriftway has some local stuff at the sports market, I should say. But yeah, it is still a void, and it is weird. It is not something that's easily explainable as far as why that food goes somewhere else instead of the closest town.
Well, I can't explain it. All I can do is try to help fill the void a little bit,
Yeah.
So yeah, we won't be as produce oriented as we were. That was primarily what we did at the farm center. In this case, we're going to take the swing and be primarily focused on my prepared foods.
Okay.
So I like to think of it as country store meets urban deli.
Okay.
We'll have all kinds of prepared entrees and salads and
Will it be sort of a counter service type
yes,
deal? Okay.
it'll be just like walking up to the deli counter at a.
Will you have tables? Will you serve?
No
Okay.
food service
It'll
inside.
be a store.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be strictly a market. So we'll have all the prepared foods, but we will do some specialty produce, almost all of it from the Canby area, although we'll continue to buy tree fruit and melons from Hood River and Hermiston.
Okay.
But the rest of it, one of our primary providers over the last 3 years was Martinez Family Farm out off of Barlow Road.
Yeah.
And then South Barlow Berries and Jane Grigson. And anyway, so quite a few people from local, and we hope to even expand that. And then we'll have dry goods like honeys and jams and preserves and pickles and things like that. So we'll have that kind of thing. So a little produce, a little dry goods, but primarily fresh, local prepared foods.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Bill, can you tell us a little bit about, do you have certain specialty dishes or specialty entrees or certain kind of types of cuisine that you think you'll really feature for folks that aren't? I know you have a large following through your farm stand and people that are excited to see you moving right here to Canby. So for folks that aren't as familiar with your background.
So I think my hope is that we'll be able to reach a broad demographic of food interests. I know there's a lot of folks that have been around for a long time. They maybe got slightly more conservative food interests. So things like simple home style comfort foods like meatloaf, pot roast, mac and cheese will be available. But we'll also go to the other end of the spectrum and try to speak to some of the more contemporary interests that are coming to town and some of the new generation of folks moving in. But to kind of pinpoint a specific style, the answer is actually no. It's going to be a very broad spectrum of styles. I like to do Italian work. I've got a deep background in French food, American regional food. Of course, the barbecue will be a major focus. So we're going to try to provide the broadest possible spectrum to appeal to a wide variety of interests.
You didn't talk about the barbecue. That's a big thing. Tell me about that.
It's a big thing. So on the weekends at our farm stand in Stafford, I did American Regional Barbecue for the last 2 years we were there. And the excitement was pretty exciting for us. I mean, the folks, it was one of those things where we opened the gates to open the store into the parking lot.
With their bibs on.
Cars were lined up. We had to kind of make arrangements to get them off the street, let them in early and say, I'm not quite ready. I'm going to get you ready as fast as I can. But I mean, how great can that be? That was great. We just loved it. So I did, so I said American Regional style. I did Texas style brisket. And Western North Carolina pulled pork. So there's several different styles of pulled pork from the Carolinas. I did a Western North Carolina style, which is a kind of a mixture of a part vinegar, part tomato-based sauce. So we did the Carolina pork, the Texas barbecue brisket. And then I had a great recipe from a chef friend of mine in Tennessee for kind of a slightly mustardy barbecue sauce that I did on baby back ribs. Okay. So we did those. And then we did St. Louis ribs with a Memphis dry rub. And then we would do barbecue roasted chicken with, every week I'd do a different fruit-based, Northwest fruit-based barbecue sauce. So we had 4 or 5 different things. And the kind of every week it was a different product that was most popular.
Love it.
And we'd sell out, and we would sell out in 2 or 3 hours. So it was great. I couldn't make enough. I mean, I could only make as much as I could make. And it sold out, usually 3 or 4 hours before the farm stand closed.
So you say you're going to continue that here.
Yes.
Is that something where you'll prep it somewhere off-site?
We'll do the barbecue off-site because I don't have access to space here, and we'll bring it in.
Up on the roof or something? No, I guess we haven't told people your location yet. You're going to be at the Holly Mall.
Thank you, the Holly Mall. Oh, and by the way, it's 241 North 2nd Avenue in the Holly Mall. And I was just told today that
in between what used to be Sunshine Athletics and
I think it was an insurance company maybe on the
and what used to be Allstate Insurance.
Yeah, right.
That's right. I'm like, what is there? Oh wait, that's what used to be.
And those 2 spaces are still empty, so we're going to fill the void and hope people come running.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I want to come back. We'll be wrapping up here pretty quick, but your cell phone went off, and when that happens to one of my guests, I get to ask you extra questions.
I apologize. Right, that's the bonus. That marks the bonus.
But back to your background a little bit. You have been recognized with a number of awards. You've had some media appearances. Tell us about that.
I've been very fortunate in my career. So just for the record, and embarrassing to talk about it too much, but I was the Oregon Seafood Chef of the Year back in the late 80s. I was the consulting chef for the state and did a bunch of things down in Salem. Over the years, I've done a lot of appearances on AM Northwest and Afternoon Live on TV. And I used to do a regular TV show with Bill Gallagher on the radio.
Cool.
I've won a couple of gold medals, a couple silver medals in national culinary competitions, although I've never really wanted to be a competition chef, but kind of got talked into doing those and was fortunate enough to do fairly well. I've cooked at the James Beard House a couple of times, and that's enough. I'm not going any further than that.
Listed on your website somewhere. Maybe.
Right. Exactly.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you, and that was kind of setting the stage for this, but just you've talked about your different work experience, all kinds of different things that you've done. I'm really interested to hear what has led you to where you are now, as far as that focus on the local and the farm to table. Because you've seen all kinds of different aspects. You've seen the corporate model and the restaurant model, and I guess is it something in terms of the sustainability, the quality, column A, column B? What has led you to what you do now?
I think it's kind of all of the above. I think part of it was that after almost 30 years in the corporate world, I wanted to do something much simpler.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be something that was my own and my family's. This is very much a family business. My wife is actively involved. Two of my three kids are supported, and in fact, my daughter ran the farm stand for the first year that we were open. I wanted something simpler. I wanted something that we could call our own. And I wanted something that would really make a connection to local community and local farming. And we just kind of stumbled into it at the farm stand and figured it out as we went along. But it was just such a rewarding experience to be connected to the rural areas, to the farms themselves, to the community, and again to be able to be doing something that we could call our own and keep it kind of simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bill King, it has been so great to have you on today. If you would tell folks sort of what your timeline is. Don't want to lock you in too much.
As it so often is, timelines are dictated by construction issues. I am somewhat optimistic, but encouraged to think that we're going to be open by the second or third week of August.
Okay.
So not too far.
Yeah, awesome. And where can folks find you online or find information, updates about what's going on?
kingsfarmtotable.com, and we will have our website updated with all the new information about the new store, King's Farm to Table, Canby Market.
Yep, and King's Farm to Table on Facebook, got a good presence there. That's how we initially hooked up.
We're very blessed with a lot of followers.
Yes.
And we do communicate real well on Facebook, so definitely look for information there.
Awesome. Well, Bill, thank you again for being on today. We're so excited to have you in Canby. Look forward to trying some of that barbecue as soon as we can.
We are thrilled, and thank you so much for thinking of me.
Joining us now is Donna Ellison of Ellison Team Homes, a firm serving all across the Portland metro area with 3 realtors based right here in Canby. Donna, can you tell us how Ellison Team Homes started?
I started in real estate. I grew up with my dad. He was a realtor. So I'm a second generation broker, and I grew up honestly with him on weekends. And I learned a lot, eventually working with him for several years and then going out on my own. Our family moved to Canby a couple of years ago, but we really didn't know how it was going to go. And within the first probably 3 months of being here, we literally fell head over heels in love with this place. We love the community, the spirit here. The first Christmas at Waite Park, I was literally crying because everybody was walking around saying Merry Christmas and people were drinking hot chocolate, and we got in a carriage ride with the horse, and it was just too much. You just realize it's special here. Real estate's always been my passion. It is my professional love. I enjoy the people, the relationships. So much comes out of kind of the intensity that you spend with people. You're really up in their business for a period of time, and sometimes it's a couple months, sometimes it's a couple years, sometimes it's a lifetime. I feel very blessed at this point to have people that have been with me for almost my entire career. Clients that have bought and sold maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 homes. I have one client that's bought and sold 8 homes with me. 3 generations. It's a beautiful business. It makes for a very full life.
How can people find you?
How can they not, really? We have a website, www.ellisonteamhomes.com.
Well, thank you, Donna.
Thank you for having me.
Canby Then is brought to you by Retro Revival. They are not your average antique shop. They're open daily, and you can find them on the corner of Northwest 3rd and Grant Street in downtown Canby. If the city of Canby were a wheel, then Waite Park would be the hub. The city revolves around it. It is the host of many of the city's most popular and well-known events, from the Canby Independence Day celebration, once known as General Canby Days, to Light Up the Night, which draws thousands to downtown Canby each year to help ring in the holiday season. Today marks the start of a new series on Canby Then, looking at the history of the city's parks. They play a much more important role than you may realize. They are the places children play, yes, but one day those children grow up, and the lives they lead and the futures they build are shaped in no small part by the dreams that first began to take shape on the playgrounds of their youth. Waite is the city's oldest park. Though it was not officially deeded to the Canby until 1967, its history goes back much further than that. The property that would one day become Waite Park was part of the original 1870 plat for the city of Canby, filed 150 years ago. It was part of the original donation land claim of Canby that founding father Philander Lee, the Oregon Trail pioneer who grew amazing whiskers, but also apples, which he shipped by train and sold to miners during the California Gold Rush. Just to the north was the claim of Aaron E. Waite, whose descendants would eventually own the land and donate it to the city, and after whom the park is named. Waite is a fascinating and influential figure in early Oregon history. It is well known that he was the first Chief Justice of the state's Supreme Court, but he was so much more than that. Aaron Waite was born in Whately, Massachusetts, on the day after Christmas in 1813. His father was a soldier in the War of 1812, which actually lasted until 1815, and was killed in action shortly after Aaron was born. He was raised by his uncle and grandfather. At the age of 14, he became an apprentice broom maker in Hatfield and put the money he earned towards his own education. At age 20, he moved to Long Island, New York, where he taught country winter schools and was an assistant teacher in Erasmus Hall, though he would later confess he never really liked teaching. He eventually returned to Massachusetts before moving west in 1837 and settling in Centerville, Michigan. There he befriended Judge Columbia Lancaster, who would also be influential in the early governance of both Oregon and Washington state. Young Aaron had taken an interest in political matters since he was a boy, a biographer once noted, and he had always been a Democrat. During the presidential campaign of 1844, he edited a Democratic paper in Michigan and afterwards held the office of military secretary in the cabinet of Governor John L. Barry. In the spring of 1847, Waite headed to the Oregon country in a wagon train of 40 ox-drawn wagons. His party included Judge Lancaster and Lancaster's small family. They arrived safely in mid-September of that year. Watchful care was exercised, and no serious accident nor difficulty occurred on the journey. Waite's biographer noted. Other than being tiresome, the journey was not an unpleasant one. The one colorful episode history preserves involved the spectacles Waite wore for nearsightedness. Native Americans who noticed the strange facial adornments asked what they were for, and Waite said they allowed him to see a long way off. The natives avoided him after that. They had misunderstood his explanation to mean that the spectacles made it so he could see anything, anywhere. Once in Oregon, he set up a law practice in Oregon City and entered into an agreement with Oregon's first governor, George Abernathy, to edit the fledgling Oregon Spectator. The Spectator was the first American newspaper west of the Rocky Mountains and would soon become the main paper of the region, used by politicians for public debate of the leading topics of the day. It had little competition. Before the Spectator, the only newspapers circulated in the territory were tiny pamphlets printed in San Francisco and Monterey, which were delivered by ship at random intervals, and, bizarrely, a paper based in Honolulu, Hawaii, which at the time was commonly known as the Sandwich Islands, for reasons that are much less hilarious than you might guess. Some folks also received letters and papers from the States once a year by immigrants coming down the Oregon Trail. When the Cayuse War broke out, sparked by the massacre of missionaries Marcus and Narcissa Whitman, whom Philander Lee and his family had met on their own journey to Oregon, Waite was appointed first assistant commissary under General Joel Palmer. While in that capacity, Waite was tasked with securing provisions for the troops in the field. No easy task. Legend has it that someone told him, "Go to God Almighty Smith." He was able to give. He won't, but you try him. This Alvin Thompson God Almighty Smith was an accomplished carpenter on the Tualatin Plains, which we know now as the city of Forest Grove. He was, in the word of one historian, a serious man who did serious work. He was a devout Christian from his boyhood days. His nickname had been bestowed on him by the Indians, who heard his frequent prayers to God Almighty. And as one of his contemporaries, Dolly Hinman, would recall, quote, "Mr. Smith was a very stern man, keeping the Sabbath from sundown Saturday to sundown Sunday, and woe betide anyone who did not do likewise." Obviously, Aaron Waite had his work cut out for him. He arrived at Mr. Smith's late in the day and made his errand known. Never one to make a quick decision, Mr. Smith said, "You must stay with me all night, and we will talk it over." Well, Old Man Smith must have heard a still, small voice during his prayers that night, because he did indeed agree to furnish equipment for the soldiers in the field and rendered other aid. He even accompanied Waite to another settler's ranch near the foothills, where the two men procured a drove of hogs for the War Department and its hungry soldiers. God Almighty Smith's home still stands on Elm Street in modern-day Forest Grove. It is the second oldest building in the city and was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1974. That house fell into disrepair and was even home to a meth lab in 2005, but was saved through the heroic fundraising efforts of the Friends of the Historic Forest Grove, which raised $175,000 to purchase and restore the property. Their efforts included, and I'm not kidding, a sexy calendar featuring members of the group in various nude poses. We were told it was quite tasteful. The name of the calendar, of course, was The History Buffs. God only knows what the good Alvin Smith would have thought about that. We'll have more to tell you about the adventures of Justice Aaron E. Waite and the Canby Park that bears his name, but it'll have to wait till next time on Canby Then.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah. They also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends, welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildhairsaloon.net. Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden, so a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.